Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ask the Accountant, episode 111. Those numbers are racking up week by week. Hope everybody is well, and welcome, as always, to our community. We are here. We're here to talk news, but I can't talk news on my own. So, as always, Mr. Aaron Patrick is here. Aaron, how are you? And how's your week and weekend been? Without no F1 this weekend, I've been a bit of a loss as to what to do with myself. You're on mute. You're still on mute.
I wonder why it muted. That's weird. Gremlins today. Or is it Gremlins, or is it just time to pack up for Christmas? I don't know. One of the two, isn't it?
Just quit now.
Yeah, something like that, isn't it? I know. Yeah, without Formula 1's been weird, but we've been lucky. And there's a YouTube channel we watch called Sorted. So Sorted Food, they're called. Brilliant channel. Highly recommend it to anyone. They're one of those ones where they're just a bunch of lads from UK. They call themselves free normals and they're chefs, and like it's one of those about teaching recipes, and that's what they normally do throughout the. They always have a video about how to tackle this, how to tackle that. But anyway, they did their live stream bonanza for over 2 days, and it was literally 2 days of just real good fun and everything else, and you get to know them and already because we've been to their live show actually in person, and we've seen them in London before and all that sort of stuff. So watching them on that, it was really good. So that whole weekend was, I had my laptop with me doing work, but it was in front of the TV watching that, and yeah, it was just nice to be honest. Nice to have a relaxing weekend, not having to go anywhere. And yeah, went through from there. So it's been all right to be honest. I've spent most of my week and weekend just getting work done. So literally getting through that list of tax returns that needs getting completed, just churning them out basically. So what about you, Johann? How's your weekend been?
I had a bit of a chilled weekend, if I'm honest. It's that time of year where new TV series is about to start. So Death in Paradise will start back up in a couple of weeks. So it's like, right, we'll get back to season 1, episode 1, watch it all the way through, stuff like that. So yeah, very chilled weekend, very much winding down for Christmas, basically.
I do have a video or TV show to recommend. Have a look at Black Doves on Netflix. I think it's called Black Doves.
I've just seen that a few times recently. Is it good, is it?
Yeah, so it's London based. So it's one of those where most of the time you're sitting there going, oh, I know that bit. Oh, they're there. Oh, they're that bit. Oh, yeah, that, that bit always just appeals to me. No matter what program it is, if I can sit there looking at all those different locations, I'm really happy. But no, it's really, really good. Keira Knightley from Love Actually and all those sort of films. She stars in it, but it's brilliant. Really good twist at the end. Really good. Like it's a spy thriller type idea. Very, very good. Yeah, MI5, all that sort of stuff. It's got the Prime Minister or their equivalent of the Prime Minister in, and yeah, very, very good.
I'll add to my list of browsing throughout the Christmas period.
Yeah, highly recommend it to all.
Definitely. Right. As always, we are nobody if we are not here with our community. So let's say good morning to everybody in the community. Good morning to Cheryl. And good morning to Dave. Good morning to Paul. Natasha is here. Good morning. Good morning to Kirsty. Good morning to Dave said, I hope you all had a great weekend. We did, by the sounds of it. Thank you, Dave. Very chilled. Sue, good morning to you. Good morning to Carl. Kirsty says, Black Doves was brilliant. Yeah.
Sarah Lancaster's in it as well. Yeah, brilliant.
Sarah Lancaster is in it. And good morning to Marcus as well. Fantastic. Right. Where do we start? People are meant to be winding down for Christmas, and the tech world seems to be going bloody mental.
Well, CS is not far away, is it? Then that's their big.
Yeah. It's just. So we've been having 12 days of Christmas every business day from ChatGPT or OpenAI. They've been doing 12 days of Christmas, making new announcements every single day. So if you want to check if you're on the naughty or nice list, you can now have a chat with Santa using ChatGPT as a voice. And it's completely free. I quite like that we've made it free. It's like, actually, that's quite cool. If you've got kids, you go, right, come on, kids, come and speak to Santa.
Whoa. What have you done with Johann? This is organised fun that you're promoting here.
Well, I have an idea to get kids into AI. I think that's a great idea. So yeah, so they've put David Attenborough out the job. Did you see their video software, the video AI tool they've launched?
No, I've not seen it.
Oh, David Attenborough, the fact it takes his crews 2 years to film 30 seconds of dolphins, done now. Don't need that. they literally demoed live on their live feed, like, is it Sorosa, something like that.
Oh, are they part of that? I've seen that later. I didn't know that was OpenAI. Okay.
So literally, they just demoed. They went, I want a video of a heron stood in a river. 5 seconds in, it dips its head into the water and misses a fish. It then catches a fish successfully and pulls it out the water.
Wow.
It's like David Attenborough quality. Like, I'm sat there going, oh my God.
Yeah, I saw one where they were like, do a drone shot over this and then add it, and the drone shot looked wicked and all this. And there's like, oh, just add a golf course on. And then they just added a golf course.
So now I don't even know if David Attenborough's giving me fake news. Like, does Attenborough use AI? I don't know anymore. The legend that was, like, corrupted by ChatGPT. But yeah, so
did they give pricing on that though? Because that got to be, because there's this new £200 tier floating around, and I think it's fake news most of it, isn't it? And people are getting well over think of it all. But what sort of price?
A month subscription now. But you've still got your £20 a month, and that includes this video editing.
Oh, it does include it.
So the £200 a month one is focused on ChatGPT 01 or something like that. They come up with these weird. I wish they'd just have like just succinct names. You know, we've got the Apple, the iPhone 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, it makes sense. They tried to veer off once and give us S's and different. It's like, whoa, bring that back to the order, thank you. But yeah, they do all weird things. But basically, the £200 a month one is more targeted at your science research labs.
Oh, okay.
Huge data crunching companies that need huge bandwidth and AI to help them write code and stuff like that. So it's not aimed at people like you and me. Like, we're £20 a month. That package is more than sufficient for you, me, and to be fair, the free package is probably more than significant for most of our viewers. Like, the only downside between free and £20 is free doesn't remember who you are. You can't teach it about you. You can't teach it your tone of voice and remember it for the next time you have a different conversation. So you've got all of that. What I did like that came out, was it Friday? I think they announced it Friday. They're rolling it out this week. Is what they call projects. So you can now do projects in AI, but it's not what you and I would think of as a project. Okay. It's basically their folder structure.
Oh.
So you have a folder, say you're revamping your website. So you'd have a folder or project calling revamp website. And in there, you'd have a series of different conversations with it about different part of things that you're doing with the website, whether it's about design, whether it's about coding to solve a design issue, whether it's copy writing, whatever it is. It's all in that folder, and it just helps ChatGPT ring fence kind of, no, this is the kind of area I'm looking at. Instead of looking across all your conversations to try and answer your question and think about you, we're just going to look in this project folder, and maybe you make reference to, take the tone and voice out of this project folder here. A bit more organization, probably stops hallucination a bit more, which is cool. They're doing some cool stuff. But then I know I don't follow Google, but did we know Google were doing an event last week?
No, it came out of the blue.
Came out of the blue. I did wonder. Google announces they announced a few things, including a chip the size of your hand, like quantum AI or something they called it. But the bit that really intrigued me, and I sent it over to you to look at, because I know you like your AR glasses and stuff, was Google AR. So AR is augmented reality, and Google's basically announced that it's launching a new Android thing. We've got iOS on iPhones. We've got iPad OS for iPads. You've got Android on phones and tablets. They've decided to spin off a separate one for virtual reality, and whether it's virtual reality and or augmented reality.
Yeah.
Like, the concept video they had was pretty cool. And they're working with people like Samsung to get this work right. And it's like all of a sudden, Apple just looks further and further behind in this space. So, yeah, I mean, you saw the videos. What are your thoughts?
So just to clarify, it's Android XR is their new. And I think Google XR, Android XR is getting thing. But yeah, their moniker is XR. I think the big thing for this is we've got this will be the third proper player in the space, right? Me and you already use Meta in terms of our Meta glasses. We like them. They're, the AI side of things, bit ropey, isn't it? But it's there, and it does what it does. But the whole POV and recording, all that sort of stuff, we love that. So they are taking that Meta glasses concept, so exactly what you have on Meta, but they're going to be adding the ability to put some like images on your thing, right? Like on your glasses. I mean that technology's been crying out for a long time, hasn't it? We played around with that XR, is it XR Ream and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So trying to kind of replicate that, but in a more subtle way, so you don't have those big chunky things on your glasses, but trying to go from there. So I think that whole idea of it, those AI glasses, and I think if Google are pushing that there, I think that's got to be a good thing. I think if I've got to choose between the Meta ecosystem, because this is what it's going to boil down to going forward, is what ecosystem you want to use. Hopefully, hardware-wise, they're all going to be very, very similar, but ecosystem-wise, you're going to choose between Meta, which is your Facebook, Instagram. What else they got? They've got something else. What else? They've got something else, haven't they? WhatsApp, that's it, yeah. So they've got those. They're your like big ecosystem options over in the world of Meta, but realistically, do we use that very often? Maybe WhatsApp more than the rest of them. Facebook groups are still relevant, aren't they? Instagram's pretty big, but from a productivity point of view, we don't touch them, right? Like, it's just social media. Google, on the other hand, well, they have all of the big elements to productivity. Yeah, they've got YouTube, they've got Google Docs. They keep going with their Google thing. So they've got their whole and they've got Gemini going with it. They've got all sorts going on there. And you've got Apple, where from a productivity point, we were speaking off air, like they are the choice in certainly my world of if I want to get stuff done, I pick up an Apple device and I get that stuff done, right? So it's going to come down to that ecosystem, and that's going to be the most important. But what this does mean to me is that one of the things that the Apple Vision Pro, which I've been trying to like shoehorn in as this is going to be the next big thing, it's not. Like it's not in its current form, right? Iterations down the line, we may be having a different story, but as it is now, it's a gimmick. Let's be honest. But one of the things it's desperately missing is YouTube, Google Docs. I was always confused of why. Like I was sat there thinking, sure, this is an easy one for Google. Just whack it on the system, job done. Yeah. Now you can see why. Like they've got their own ideas behind it. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, because innovation means that straight away with the Meta equivalent, right? Meta released this week the ability to be able to connect to your Windows computer just by looking at the computer and clicking it in Meta, and it will just open up for you, right? Very Apple-esque, where if you've got your Apple Vision Pro on and you walk towards your computer, you click a little button and now you're interacting with that computer. It's really like out of all of the features that work that you could say that, is impressive and is something that you would highly recommend going forward, that's one of them. Imagine this was going forward your monitor, right? Like you walk up to your computer and you had an option just to have this as your monitor. That would be, that would be brilliant, right? So they've kind of got that concept down. And I do feel like that innovation there was why Meta's now done exactly the same. So they're going to do this. I assume the Google one, probably Chrome based, I'd imagine. So if you've got a Chromebook floating around, maybe you're going to have the same experience. But it has turned my head, and there's rumors that this Samsung one could be talked about in January, because that's when Samsung do their big event. So what they are now, S25, isn't it? In fact, their naming structure is actually pretty good, because their naming structure is what year it is, so 25.
Yeah.
But if they do release this in January, or at least talk about it more in January about when the release dates are, I think I'm very tempted to have a look at this one, because I think as much as I love the Apple
from Apple to Android.
You what say?
Like, could this be what takes you from Apple to Android?
Oh, no way. No way. I've tried using Android. I'm never going to be moving over to Android. But I think this is definitely, because if Google can do this right with their Google Maps integration and power like that, I think that's what could make this more attractive. Hey, look, I'm a sucker for ARs and VR. Like, I am. Like, you announce, I've got the Sony one, I've got the Meta one, I've got, I think I need to give this, as much as I don't like Samsung, and there's like the one product I don't like using at all, I think I've got to give this a go. So we shall see. We shall see. Would you be tempted? Would you ever?
My biggest issue with Android is the disconjointedness. Like, Gemini, in theory, sounds like a great intelligence tool.
Yeah.
But it can only look at one Gmail account. So all of my work emails are on Microsoft, whether it's for my firm, whether it's for Engager, we use Microsoft. So, like, trying to use those in the Gmail app on Android is an absolute nightmare. It just cannot handle it. The calendar app can't handle it. Multiple different calendars from other, like, it's just a mess.
Unless you're just in that ecosystem, right?
Yeah, and like, it's even simple stuff, right? So I've got a Samsung S24. Like, I have that for testing the Engager app, testing the Engager. Like, I want to know how it looks on an Android and how it works on an Android versus the iPhone, and functionality, bugs, etc. And it's even simple bloody stuff, right? If I have Apple News on my phone, I have Apple News on my phone. If I use the Android News thing that comes on the Samsungs, like, it, in many ways, it's very good, because I always enjoy reading articles about the Royal Navy, because my uncle's in the Navy, my granddad was in the Navy. I loved visiting the Navy yards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if I'm signed into my Android, if I'm signed in at the moment on my work Gmail, so my Jay Gorey Gmail account, I can't view the news, because that doesn't work with a work email account. I have to be signed in with my personal email account to see even the news. Where the hell's the logic in that? Like, if I go to Microsoft Outlook, I can use Copilot on the work email that I've got Copilot for. It can't understand all the other. Yeah, it won't let me look at any other email accounts. Same with Gemini. Apple Intelligence, although we were just saying it's just nowhere near as good at the moment, at least when I go into Apple Mail or any app or any website or anything I want on a device, on an Apple device, Apple Intelligence is there to spell check. Not very well, but it's there. It's there to I've got the rewrite options. I've got the summary option. Like, it doesn't matter where my notifications come in from. It summarizes them. Again, potentially not very well, but at least it's starting with all the data.
Yeah.
Like, it's starting looking at everything and then refining the quality of the output. Whereas Gemini is really, really good. Copilot's really, really good on that one instance that it's allowed to look at.
But isn't that a cost in a subscription, a payment platform issue? Because, and this is the problem I'm having at the moment. I'm kind of stuck at the moment into which AI tool should I be paying the subscription for, right? The Apple one pretty much comes with what I'm already paying for, right? And I'm not going to change that. I'm already a Apple One. It is Apple One, isn't it? Their subscription, whatever their subscription's called, right? But they have a subscription model. I'm already paying for it, so I'm already getting Apple Intelligence as part of that. I don't think they've officially said that, but it makes sense that going forward, that's what it's going to be, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's technically still in beta, so it's free to everyone that's got 18.2 upwards.
Yeah, so just bought a brand new, and it's device specific as well, isn't it? Like, the latest iPhone, blah 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 blah. Right. So,
Yeah.
you're kind of in a beta, like you said, beta phase, but you've had to invest in the hardware to get to that, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of get that, and I think that going forward, if they probably will restrict, or they'll give you a tier system, right? So if you want the highest version of Apple Intelligence, then pay for the what do you call it, the subscription model. So I'm already invested in Apple, so I'll already have that going forward. But then the Microsoft one, I'd have to pay for, and I already do, the Office 365, the Copilot 365 when I pay for that. So that's what on that one account, and we also pay for it on another account as well for Botfix, so the other team can jump in. That's more of a generic account. But I'm debating, do I then pay for everyone in the firm to have access to it, right? Like there's that conversation happening. Then there's like you said, Google Gemini, and you almost feel like you should have a Google Gemini account if you're using the Chrome stuff all the time. And should we be paying that? Then there's you've already mentioned about the £20 a month for Open. And like, where does it stop? Like, what Claude as well? Like, do you pay for that subscription as well? Like, how many AI subscriptions do we have going out per month to actually justify the return on investment, right? And I think they're all different use cases and everything else, and I get that bit, but that's going to be a real tricky bit of which one do you go for? Like, what's the right one?
This isn't like, so the current debate so this is basically like entertainment subscriptions, right? You've probably got Disney now, Amazon, and Netflix, right?
Apple,
yeah, you've got all these different subscriptions. If you didn't want to do that and you weren't worried about watching the next big thing straight away, what you could do is what I've seen some people do is they break up the year and they go, right, for 3 months, I'm going to have Netflix and I'm going to binge watch everything that's on Netflix. That's of interest to me. Then for 3 months, I'm going to have Disney. And 2 weeks in, I'd have binge watched all the stuff on Disney that's of interest to me. And I'll be bored for another 2.5 months. Then I'll binge watch everything on Amazon and realize they've got a paywall behind all of it, even though I'm already paying for a subscription. Then I'll do Now TV. But then hang on, I like watching the F1, which means I now need Now TV March to December anyway. So actually, it's like, oh, hang on. So it just doesn't, and that's the same issue with AI. Like, I can't choose to have one on for a while and then turn it off and have another one on because all my devices are crossing over. Like, it's going to become a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, and I remember when Sky TV, it was and it was Sky and Virgin, wasn't it? Like there were two dominating factors in watching TV, right? You'd either buy a Sky box or a Virgin box, and you could argue to the cows come home which one's better and all that, but you'd have the choice, right? And then as soon as Netflix came along, everyone was like, "Oh, we can cut the cable. We're going to save our £100 a month television bills that people were paying, right? We don't need it no more. We've got Netflix. That's all we're going to need." Now, you paid significantly more than you were just for Sky back in the day, and and we're going to do the same with because I think when we first saw it, £20 a month for OpenAI, no brainer, absolute no brainer. The amount of functionality you get, you buy it, you get your return on investment within the first couple of days, every single month, like everything's all good. Now, Grammarly, like that's another one that some of us are paying for, some of us not. You know what I mean? Like when you start adding all that all together, ouch. Plus, you've got that Office 365 subscription. Plus, to employ someone nowadays, you need to outlay X amount per month just to get them off the ground. And it's going to be really, really interesting, I think, going forward of which one of those keeps that subscription model, as in keeps people paying for it on a regular basis. Because they're going to need to shift them, aren't they? If they're going to want to put that R&D into play. And I can't see in my world what that winner is yet. Like, I generally can't see it. I'm flipping between things and trying things out and all that. Like, I don't know. I don't know which one's the one right for me. I was hoping Apple Intelligence would just be the one that does it. And that's definitely not going to happen. As much of an Apple fanboy I am,
no,
it's not going to be the solution.
I tried to come off Claude, so I've had this thing for about a year now and absolutely love it. It's great for recording meetings, calls and stuff. And I was looking at their new Claude AI pin because the downside to this is you've got to press you basically have to get it out of your pocket to press the button. It's quite it's an inconvenience, shall we say. So if you've got a random thought that you want to record a few voice notes for, it's a pain in the backside. So I thought, oh, I'll just use voice notes on my Apple Watch. That'll do it. And you know what? While I'm in meetings, I could just use voice note on my Apple Watch. Why am I paying extra for Claude? And then Apple Intelligence transcribes this thing, and it's just a solid block of text for A4 pages, no paragraphs, no nothing. And it's like, that's why I'm paying for Claude, because it can't format it.
And all you were doing was copying that load of text, putting it into Copilot, and letting Copilot summarize it for you. So, well,
that's it. It's like, well, hang on a minute, Claude did that for me without having to click anything. So, yeah, it's all down to like just finding the right ecosystem for what you do. Like, as you know, I scrapped my MacBook Pro the other week. I'm already regretting that. So I got the MacBook Mini, and I absolutely love it. It powers this whole office setup. It's an absolute powerhouse, this new one. Absolutely incredible bit of kit. But I thought, well, I don't need my MacBook Pro anymore, because I've got my MacBook Mini powering the office. The MacBook Pro I only used it to power the office. You know, out and about, I use my iPad Pro, and you know what? There's so many things you can do with the iPad Pro. It's an incredible bit of kit, but for actual work in yours and my life, it's a bloody nightmare. Like, I've got data, so I've got data coming in from one place for Engager. I update a spreadsheet for statistics and then I also update our CRM system as well. On here, that's easy. On a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air, that's easy, because I just swipe to the left, go, and that puts me onto the Excel spreadsheet. Swipe to the left, that puts me onto the CRM tool. Fantastic. Doesn't work like that in iPad. Like, I timed it. It was 5 times longer to enter the same data. What takes me a minute and a half on here took me nearly 10 minutes to do the same data update on my iPad Pro. So I've had to go back and go, oh, this wasn't right. This was a terrible choice. I don't need a MacBook Pro for when I'm out and about. It's just complete and utter powerhouse. So I have just gone and got myself the MacBook Air now. And it's like, my top tip to anyone listening, guys, is think about it before you start investing in your ecosystem. Try and work out what you're going to need, because it gets very expensive to keep swapping and changing.
It does. And because I've been spending that time trying to move over and test the Microsoft device, right? Like the Microsoft Surface Pro that I talked about. Was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe? Because I still have team members who are using Microsoft, so being able to understand like what's right for them, what's the right device to buy them going forward, that sort of thing is really important. And we used to buy them like Dells and stuff like this, and they just break down all the time, or there was issues with them, and if they had issues, I wouldn't be able to fix them because I've not used the device myself, blah 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 blah. So we're trying to at Buffett's go, right, if you're a Mac user, you're going to have, like you've just said, a MacBook Air. That'll be more than adequate for every single one of our team. Brilliant, perfect. For the Windows side, though, it was always a bit of a what's on sale on Amazon sort of idea. You know what I mean? That's what we went for. But now we're going to definitely go down the line of, right, we're going to have one of these Copilot Plus PCs, because then we can kind of have that and because I've been using it, I know the flaws and what it can do and all that sort of stuff. But until you lose it, you don't realize how much, whatever ecosystem you choose, and everyone chooses their own ecosystem for their own reasons, right? But there's a reason you choose your ecosystem. And for me, the reason that I choose the Apple ecosystem is because I can just get that work done, like you've said there, 5 times longer, even on the same ecosystem but a different operating system, because you know the other one inside out. The Mac OS system inside out is 5 times quicker. This device, lovely bit of kit, like there's some really nice bits about it. Again, it's that whole M1 for whatever device you're at, it's their equivalent, right? So it's a mobile first device, so it's much more snappier, it's quicker to do things and all this and that, apart from certain bits. Like, for example, I didn't know I needed this, but you pick up that MacBook Air now, it's on instant. You open the thing, it's on all the time. Helps, it's got an amazing battery in it, lasts for days and days and days, all that sort of stuff. But every time you open that device, you are in, you're authenticated, you're working. Every time I pick up that device, probably 50% or more of the time, it's switched off. No reason. It just goes to sleep. So you have to switch it back on again, and then you're having to wait. And sometimes it doesn't switch straight on, and then there's like a minute waiting of it having to boot up and go in and all this and the other. I was telling you off air, also the biggest one is on the Apple ecosystem. You get your mobile phone out, you press copy, you go to your Apple device, and you paste. So you got code for an email or authentication code or whatever it's going to be. Copy, paste, done. Someone sends you a WhatsApp message, copy straight into Teams, done. That sort of thing, right? The amount of times I've had that phone open, that new laptop open, and I'm like, oh, I'll just grab that authentication code, get my iPhone, copy, went to paste. It's never going to do that, right? Like there's no, like those little things is the bits that you go to yourself. I just can't get my head around. I just can't understand how people are living without them. And I know that's like, probably don't know. They probably don't, because they're in their ecosystem, they're going to have this one feature that is way better than what we have in our Mac one, right? They're going to have this bit that does something so much better. You know, swiping between screens, like you said there. How many times have I tried to do that on the Windows one? And I just think at the moment, like, we are so embedded in that one ecosystem. I don't know how people are making changes, and I don't know, like these tech reviews, right? And they're jumping between this phone, that phone, and everything else that we watch. Like me and you watch these tech reviews all the time. Like we'd make stupid decisions based on them. But how are they jumping from an iPhone to an Android to a Windows to a Mac? I don't know how it's done. Like once you're in that ecosystem, you are in, and you are in for good. And yeah, so you weren't thinking then of just buying an Apple Vision Pro, sticking the Mac Mini in your backpack, getting an external power pack, and using that as your mobile device.
Generator behind me. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm gutted because I use my iPad Mini for my note taking and stuff now.
Yeah,
absolutely love life. So good that the iPad Mini's been had a slight refresh. Like the Apple Pencil Pro on that is incredible, and Apple Notes has ruined me for other note taking apps. Like I've been swapping around recently trying to find a note taking app that I like more than Apple Notes, and I can't find one because they've all got their amazing, features like Notability will record the audio around you if you want it to while you're taking notes, and when you play that audio back, it grays out all your notes, and then it brings that note on, like makes that note visible and stuff as you go through the audio. So at the moment that they were talking about that, I was writing this.
Yeah,
that's quite useful. But none of them autocorrect the scribble that is in my handwriting and make it look legible. Apple Notes does that, and that one feature has broken me. Like voice notes on Apple, okay, it records, and I've got my Apple Watch I can record voice notes on. I've got my phone, I've got my tablets, I've got my device, my MacBook. Amazing. It can't transcribe for the life of it. It's awful. Like to be fair, the wording's not wrong. It just has no concept of grammar, punctuation, or paragraphs. And that's coming from someone that's dyslexic and got no concept of grammar, punctuation. Like even I know what it's done is wrong. But yeah, it's frustrating. Like my iPad Pro is very much just, it sits here now on my little stand, and I watch a bit of TV while I'm working. That's quite an expensive TV screen, especially for a small screen.
I mean, it's the best screen you got in the house, so
Yeah, it is. But yeah, no,
mini LED and what is it, mini OLED or whatever it was, the technology in there. Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, I hate to say it though. I think in hindsight, I made these mistakes 3 years ago. I think I made these mistakes 3 years ago as well, and I didn't learn.
That's the problem, isn't it?
About from 3 years ago, I think I scrapped the MacBook. I think I scrapped the iPad Pro and kept the MacBook last time. And then the battery on the iPad Mini started to go, and then I decided, I should never have got rid of my iPad Pro and got a new one of that. Because
you went iPad Air for one point, didn't you? So you've really gone through the iPad ecosystem.
Yeah, it's and the iPad Air, like a great bit of kit, but the 11 inches was too big for that note-taking aspect that I do. The iPad mini is just perfect for that. The iPad mini is so good in so many ways, like content consumption. Like I'm now trying to get into the habit of, if I want to watch YouTube, I watch it on my iPad mini because it preserves the battery life on my iPhone. So if I'm out of the office for the whole day, right? 2 weeks ago, I had the whole day. I had like a 5:40 a.m. train. I didn't get back at home until 1 a.m. the next morning because I was in London there and back again for speaking. I didn't have to charge my iPhone once, but because I was using my iPad mini to consume all my internet, consume all my YouTube and stuff while I was moving up and down, I was web browsing on it, I was making my notes for the speaking session on it. Fantastic. It just, when you're in London or whenever you're traveling, you kind of, my anxiety is my phone's battery dying. And you can tell that anxiety because my blooming backpack's got 5 different power backs ready for it. But I don't know London. And I'm like, if I don't have my mobile phone, I can't get an Uber. I can't find train times. I can't get a map to get to the train station. Like, I can't call any, like, if I don't have a mobile phone working, I'm in trouble. So that is like the untouchable device that's got to be powered at all times.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like the iPad mini is becoming a real good tool. Like, I even sit there, like, we'll be sat watching something on the TV and I have my iPad mini just sat there with a little, like, if I'm tracking something on analytics or something, it'll just be sat there on the side on the sofa. It's not too big a screen to be distracting and too bright or anything. Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it.
And this is the first time you've gone cellular as well, hasn't it? Because that was, to me, that was the iPad mini's biggest benefit. Like the fact they stuck a 5G modem in it or 4G back in the day, whatever it was. Like,
incredible bit of kit. Incredible.
Yeah. And I think that whole idea of having that connection of 5G, because that's what drew me to this Surface Book, right? Like the idea is that it's got a 5G connection in it. My model doesn't because it's not in the UK yet, but in theory you do, right? Like you have the ability to be always on. But even from a Microsoft point of view, that only works if the device is always on. So the fact that it keeps switching off randomly,
because they've not managed the power consumption properly.
Exactly. Where the iPad nails it every time. So as soon as you open that device up, all your emails are already there. It doesn't matter where you are, right? You don't have to rely on Wi-Fi being there. And that's productivity, right? And that, yes, I know it's only 30 seconds to refresh it all or whatever it's going to be, but that's still 30 seconds lost, right?
And it's 30 seconds how many times a day? Like that, you and I've said this a million times already. Like, there's many of accounting and bookkeeping firm I speak to where they're still looking at saving blocks of minutes and even hours a day with like bringing in document processing tools, bringing in CRMs and practice management tools will save them huge waves of time. You and me are so far down there that we've done all of that. We're looking now for, how do I save every second? Like the changes we're making are saving seconds, and those seconds happen many a times a day and they add up. So we are just further down that efficiency journey, I suppose. Like we're getting more to that F1 point where it's like, how do I save a tenth of a second here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what can I do to improve this? So yeah, we're constantly dabbling and experimenting to do that.
And that's been, you know, quote unquote cutting edge, right? Like that's that. And yeah, we're complaining about it, but we still have a far better solution than we had 3-5 years ago, whatever it was, whatever the time frame was. Like the fact we can work while we're on a train is massive. Yeah,
definitely.
Let's go through some comments because I think we're all the way back to Marcus. We never even said hello to Marcus. He's probably gone already.
I said hello to Marcus.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Cheryl says that Black Doves is a series. She saw episode 1 the other day. Really good on Netflix. Right, it's definitely going on my list. Good morning to Clive. Good morning, Ireland. Cheryl says the problem with December is we're as busy as always, but half the time. Definitely.
It's so true, isn't it? Like, yeah, we don't realize it, but December's like, yeah, it's a difficult month.
Right, and if we can do it in December, right? If we can do our month's work in 2 weeks in December, Then why can't we do that the rest of the year?
I know, right? I know.
Speaking of efficiencies. Good morning to Steph. Hope you're well. Rachel, Johann, I heard you've gone over to the dark side of Android. No, I have an Android phone for testing Engager stuff. And in 2023, I had a very dark period in my life.
You got a cease and desist from me.
In autumn 2023, I thought it'd be a good idea to get an Android, a Google phone, a Pixel 8. Very, very terrible decision. The battery life, which I've just explained how important and how much anxiety battery life in a mobile phone gives you, or gives me anyway. Battery life in an Android Pixel was awful.
And you don't even get MagSafe, right? So there's no fancy.
You know what? That's the. So my wife's on the iPhone 13.
Yeah.
And she said, Johann, for Christmas, I'd like a new case. I'd like a power pack that charges my phone and stuff. I was like, yeah, no problems. I had to sit and Google, does the iPhone 13 have MagSafe? Because it's just a thing I generally expect all phones to have. But then every time I come to like my Samsung, it's like, unless it's got a case on, it's not got MagSafe.
Oh, so to do it, you have to have a magnetic case.
Have a case on. It's like, how do people live with not having MagSafe? Like, my phone just gets plugged, like magnetically plugged to all sorts of charges wherever I am. Like, I can't do it.
I do have a confession to make. So the day you went Android was the day I took you off my top contacts on Google. I've never put you back on. I like you might defect one day.
He could just... He's done it once, he'll do it again. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I just had a very dark period of 3 months in my life last year that I've moved on from. It's okay.
But in fairness, like Google did a really good job of convincing you that you were on the wrong device, right?
Yeah, Google's marketing on their AI.
And they've done it again with me with Android XR. Somehow.
So, but yeah, it was very cleverly done. Right. Aaron, have you heard of Wooja as an enhancement tool for VR AR?
So complete transparency here. I'd stay away from everything that's not native on the product. I know, like for the Meta, for example, they've got all sorts of opportunities for you to have this virtual meetings and meet in VR. And there's all sorts of really cool elements that third parties have added to it. But I'm in this mindset where I'm thinking, look, if I'm going to try these things out, I'm going to figure out which is right or how it's got to be the native products that's in there, and it's whatever the native
money on this product, it needs to have this functionality on its own.
Exactly. And same with my Apple AI. I know there are now third parties that let you watch YouTube and all that sort of stuff, but until that becomes a native part of it, that's not a third party, like until Google or something or whatever agreement gets put in, I'm just gonna have to wait. And and it's frustrating because you're almost not getting the most out of your device, but at the same time, you want to wait until that proper, like the first party solution comes along, don't you?
In theory, first party will always be a better solution.
Yeah,
by far. Right Click Accounting says, good morning from Alexis. Good morning.
Good morning.
Clive says, love Apple. Simple things like how you can take a screenshot on a MacBook Pro and mark up on the iPad. Yeah.
That's definitely so powerful, right? Like, how many times have we just gone, I especially like if your problems or you beta thing or something like that, like someone sent you a first early look at something, just be able to go like, this is broken, or you should move this to here and all this. It's an absolute lifesaver. Whenever
I'm doing anything for Engager where I've got an idea that I want to pass on to Ash and Peter, it's just screenshot, annotate everywhere. I give that to Ash. He then makes some kind of formal sense out of it by putting it into Figma and designing it properly. And then that goes into the queue for development. But it starts with the functionality of screenshotting and an Apple Pencil.
Yeah.
Like that is the start of that journey. It's so powerful.
Yeah. And the other one is not even screenshot. If you open up any PDF document, so clients ask you to sign something or you've been asked to just fill in this form for them, whatever it's going to be, You press spacebar on the Mac, that pops up as the document. You go up into the right hand corner, you send to iPad, just fill it out there, done. Like that process of filling in an iPad, a PDF, could take 10 times as long on a Windows device, right? Even that Windows device I got there that has its own pen and everything else, I still have to go in. Then I have to make sure I'm in the right solution. Then I have to go and import it. And then I have to export and everything else. Those are those, like you said, those little minute bits that just make things so much quicker, isn't it?
Definitely. Mosin says, amazing discussion. Glad it's adding value to you. Best tech this Christmas is by far smart plugs. First year I haven't had a plug to unplug the Christmas tree lights.
Love that.
Yeah, smart plugs.
I've gone one step further this year, and we started last year in Venice. We have smart Apple Home Christmas tree lights, which really cool. So the idea is very similar to that, where you can set it so when you leave the house, they'll make sure they're switched off. When you come back to the house, they'll switch on automatically. You can even go as far as say, depending on who's in the room, it could have a different type of effect going on
So if the wife likes twinkly and you like constant,
exactly, yeah. So really, really like that, and really cool. The only one problem I have with it is December. Love it, yeah, absolutely love it. Every other month of the year, we say, I'm not going to say the word because it will switch off mine here, but B, it will do it to everyone else. But if I say, and then I go and say, switch off the lights, it goes, we can't find the the Christmas tree.
The Christmas tree seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, we can't find it. I'm like, no S, Sherlock. You know what I mean? Like we're in March. You know what I mean? Hopefully it's already gone down. But yeah, that's the only time that really. And I don't know how to. That's probably a me problem. There's probably a setting somewhere to say that it's only active between these. But yeah, that's my only bit of it.
My wife doesn't like Alexa or these voice control things, so I'm gradually building it in. So like we've got the lounge lights and the kitchen lights are now voice controlled. I'd like to do the rest of the lights, and I'd like to put everything on smart plugs to make life a bit easier, but it's a slow process getting it in there. I'm going to get such a slap later when she hears this.
The most important one though for me is in the bedroom, like having that whole lights on, lights off in there.
Yeah,
absolutely ideal. You say lights on when you go in, you get into bed, you're all nice and warm. You say lights off. You don't have to get out of the bed to switch the lights off. That's the ultimate use of smart plug technology. Rachel.
Definitely. Do you use mobile hotspot on your phone for all your devices when at the office?
Do you know I lost, I want to say, 4 to 5 hours of my life trying to figure this out, maybe longer, right? I have done every video. In fact, I must be at 10 hours worth of research on this now, right? When that device there wouldn't get the 5G connect, because I've been waiting patiently for this 5G version of this device. And then Black Friday came along and it was £600 cheaper if I'd have bought it that day than if I'd have got, because I've still got a pre-order in for a 5G version of that Microsoft, right? So I was like, why don't I just get myself a hotspot? Like, why am I messing around? So I looked into every hotspot that's available. I looked into devices that you could use to put in your back, and there are also power banks as well. And there's all sorts of technology out there now that's going to help you kind of do this. But in the end, I went back to, well, I've got an Android device just floating around. Like there's an Android device here. I could just, use that. It's already got a SIM card in, blah, 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 blah. The biggest frustration I have with these hotspotting devices that you've got there is, again, on the Apple one, you just go to your Apple device and you turn on the iPhone and it will connect up and off you go. Still frustrating, because my biggest frustration with that is if you turn it on the iPhone, then every other device you have on you then starts connecting to that automatically, doesn't it? And then that's it. Everything's connected to that one device. So it's not perfect, but
And you're draining the iPhone's battery. Trigger my anxiety again.
Yeah, exactly right. So my hotspot solution for that device there is another device I had just sat in a thing I bought ages ago, a Microsoft phone. So you'd have thought Microsoft phones would give you the option to do that instant hotspot, right? Like, no. The only device that does instant hotspot on a Windows device is a Samsung device. a particular one that's so to have that same functionality that we're used to in the Windows. I've got a Google Pixel Fold thing, top of the range Google. Nope, don't do it on that. I have a Microsoft phone. Doesn't do it on that. You have to have a Samsung phone at a particular one and going up there. And I'm just like, oh, for crying out loud. So now I'm seriously considering waiting for this Google event, this Galaxy event, and now having to go, right, get rid of all my other Android devices and go to Galaxy, go to the dark side, just for that one feature that if I'm walking around and I need a 5G connection, I can just jump on there. But yeah, I feel your pain, Rachel. I have spent hours upon hours researching different 5G, 4G things. Because I've got a hotspot device that I've got, but it's not got a power bank and all this and the other. So yeah, it is a tricky one to go through. And in the end, my solution at the moment is a USB device, a USB cable from the device to the phone and hotspot via that, because that's the only way we can get it to properly work. So
yeah, I used to use my mobile phone as my hotspot for my laptop and my iPad Pro when I was out and about. But as I say, drains the battery, so that triggers my anxiety. So now I've got my iPad mini, which is I've got the mobile connectivity built into that. I use that for my hotspot for everything. So again, it just ring fences my phone. It protects my phone as the last man standing kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
but it's so much easier when if you're using an iPad that's not got cellular and you're having to hotspot and stuff. Even though Apple's made it very, very convenient, it's still a faff. Whereas if it's just built in, it's so much better.
It's faff, and it keeps turning off on and off again, and it's not a constant connection. There's something so important about having that 5G in the device, right? And go from there. The other thing I'd say as well is a mobile phone over a hotspot, because if you're out and about outside the UK, nowadays it's really easy. If it's got a eSIM in that phone, so easy to get yourself a US connection using things like Saley and stuff like that. So you'll see a lot of the YouTube channels now. The big push at the moment is these mobile hotspot, mobile eSIM connectors. Having that option to go and choose where you are, even in the UK. Actually, I was doing it the other day where I was on the train. I couldn't get a connection on my EE, but I noticed on this solution, if I pay, I think it was like £3 or something, I could have 24 hours access on O2. And O2 was a direct connection all the way there. And, frustrated having to pay an extra £3, but to have internet the whole way from A to B is, worthwhile. So I can actually get some work done, actually make the most of being on the train, all that sort of stuff, right? So that's what I would say. If you're looking at mobile devices and hotspots and stuff, think about just getting maybe a second Android phone or whatever it's going to be, just as a dedicated hotspot so that you can connect to different eSIM providers. So yeah, that's what I'm going through at the moment. Frustrating.
Paul says Woolger is a wearable that converts sound and vibrations through a jacket or strap.
Oh, it's that one. So yeah, so if you get shot or something in VR, then it kind of goes from that. Okay, cool.
When you're both in the same room, Aaron, whose lighting preference gets priority? The correct answer here, Aaron, is your wife's.
Yeah. No, actually, the puppy. That's the priority. It goes down that way.
Rachel says she uses her iPhone hotspot for her Microsoft laptop with no issues.
But she has to go to the iPhone, turn on hotspot, then go to the laptop to connect to it, and then it gets connection, doesn't it? What we're saying here in the Apple ecosystem world is the iPhone could be in the bag, like completely the other side of the room if it needs to.
Find the iPhone to turn it on. It's just on my list to select it from.
Yeah. And again, you can have that in a Windows device if you have a Samsung device only, which is really weird.
Ridiculous. Kirsty says she's used Google Hotspot as well. Right. We did actually have some news before we got stuck with tech.
Oh, crikey. I just realised what time it is. Oh, oops.
Right.
I'll let you pick which one you want to go through.
Where do we start? Well, I believe your local water company's been cooking the books. It's been boiling the books a bit with its pans of water.
Very clever.
This one, it stood out to me because literally the week before this got announced, I was in London speaking at an event with 93 business owners that are looking to grow through acquisition. And I was asked to go in and speak about financial due diligence and what they should be looking at on the accounts and stuff as red flags. Ladies and gentlemen, this is basically what I said. So, is it Anglian Water? Your local?
No,
water?
Severn Trent.
Severn Trent. Sorry, Anglian Water. I apologise. So, Severn Trent have just been caught out for inflating their equity and their balance sheet value by 1.6 billion.
Yep.
Because they've overstated
1.68. Let's not get
1.68 billion pounds. Because they've overstated the value of an investment they've made, which actually is worthless. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what happens when you try and buy a business and they suddenly overinflate goodwill, for example, or intellectual property that no one's ever professionally valued. Like, yeah. So, like even the big boys. I'm assuming. I'd like to think, right? This got flagged by the auditors. And that's how this all came about.
Yeah.
But how long has it been on the book?
That's what happened.
They got flagged. Like, or did the auditors put it on there?
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for that 1.68 billion pounds, could they have afforded to pay out any dividends?
That's the question, isn't it? That's like what? Although, was it to do with that? Or was it to do with like a new project they had on the horizon that they want to get funding for, etc.? Who knows?
They took the books for a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason for it. There's some stakeholder somewhere that's going to benefit from it. I mean, I must say, I'm the water's here. You know, it tastes the same. You know, they definitely haven't put it into the taste of the water. Put it that way. But I don't know. Like, yeah. There's a quote here that at one point this company that's 1.68 billion was bought for £2. So a bit of a bit of a change in the valuation there, isn't there? So
I just like companies like this and their auditors that let this go. Like, who's not checked the value? Who's not got an independent valuation on that investment?
I suppose, like, was it under the radar and? Did they? I don't know. It's one of those, isn't it? Like, it's going to be there's so many things at play, isn't there, about what actually happened and what the chain of events were and who was involved and who signed it off and everything else. But yeah, they clearly thought they were going to get away with it, and I think they probably would have done if they hadn't have been audited.
Heads have got to roll, surely, for that.
You would have thought so.
Can you imagine if a small business tried to cook their books in the same way? Like, HMRC would be at them like a blooming Yorkshire Terrier. Like, it'd be absolutely ripping them to shreds. Yep. And what's going to happen to this water company?
Slap on the wrist.
PR.
Slap on the wrist and they'll restate their accounts.
Yeah. Like, double standards. But then we got news this week.
Yeah, but what else are they going to do? Like, how hard can you go down on them? Because they can't. There's not like the competitor who can come along and just take that contract off them, right? Like, they're the only one in the country in that area that provides the water. So, what can we do? Generally, what can be done? So,
drink less water in protest.
We
don't have this issue in Scotland with our water companies because
is it just nationalised?
It's part of my council tax bill.
Oh, interesting.
So I really don't care how much water I do or don't put through the hose pipe onto the garden each summer because my bill doesn't go up. I just pay a fixed rate each year based on my council tax banding.
Is it Scottish Water by any chance that provides it? They really think about their names, don't they? They really have these. Go on that drawing. I wonder how long it took him to figure it out on that drawing board. Like, what do we call this?
And it's in Scotland.
Right, that's $2.5 grand consultation charge. Well, it'd be more than that, won't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, guys, we are up to 9:30, so we will call it quits there. We've got a few more topics which we will talk about next week because I don't think we're going to see much news in the next week. Not in the accounting world, anyway. I'm keeping a close eye on ChatGPT this week to see what else they announce.
Yeah. If only we could talk about an acquisition, but oh well. There's been none, has there?
Yeah, there's been one big event, and we're not allowed to talk about things like that. But hey ho.
We've got a couple of comments that came through. Easier solution: have a touch lamp on your bedside table. Love the idea of it, but what about if I've already got up? You know what I mean? Like I'm halfway somewhere. I get to say, "Hey, blah, blah, blah. Switch on my lights." I mean, the wife and the puppy don't like it at that point, but you know, I'm happy I can see.
Well, we have a similar solution. So, like, when the dog decides at 3 o'clock in the morning she wants to go to the toilet, we can just whisper to a Amazon-powered device, psst, 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 turn on the lounge light, and that doesn't wake anyone upstairs up because that device then whispers back to us to confirm it's been done.
Oh, it whispers to you if you whisper.
If you whisper to an Amazon-powered device, it will whisper back to you.
I did not know that. That's clever.
That's quite clever. But that lounge light on, that's just enough light for us to see our way down the stairs, so I don't break my neck, to go through the kitchen and kick the dog out, and then come back upstairs, and then I can say, Amazon-powered device, good night, and it turns off all the lighting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we like your idea of a touch lamp, but didn't work for us. No. And then final one you've got is I can't imagine this has been overinflated. I think this is absolutely
for the butterfly effect. This is completely fine. Johann, would you like to buy my business? Sole trade evaluation 200 million. Yeah, just as long as the books support that, I won't dig into it.
Brilliant.
Love it. Right, we have got more news topics which we will discuss next week. Next week is the last episode before Christmas, I think. Yes, it is.
I believe so, yeah.
And then we will be back between Christmas and New Year because that Monday sits nicely there. So I don't know how much work either of us will be doing over those 2 weeks, but we'll be here at 8:30 both Monday mornings to come and say hello and catch up in the world of accounting and tech news, and just to chat to our community as per usual. So as always, guys, thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your comments and your reactions in the posts. Good news, Aaron. I didn't press go live on Instagram.
Wow.
Remind me, and you didn't. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. We'll see you all next week.
Cheers, everyone. Have a good one.